Hello everyone, welcome to the first episode to a show that we have no name for as of yet. But I think you have an idea.
So we're going to be talking about different things, cosplay, comics, Comic Cons. This isn't a Comic Con, this is more of a Comic Con-Versation.
Comic Conversation, I think right there. That
Maybe.
is the name of the show.
Awesome.
Roll the credits! All right, well, we got that fun little intro, and we're going to be talking about comic books today. In fact, we're going to be talking about 3 different comic books. Can you give us a synopsis of what this episode is going to be all about?
A lot of Marvel comics, great Marvel comics, in my opinion. Some are new and some are just classics that we love. So to top off this comic conversation, I'm going to talk about an Iron Man book that came out. It's Iron Man 20, this one right here, where Iron Man pops the question to Patsy Walker, aka Hellcat. Ooh.
Well, that is quite intriguing. We will be also talking about X-Men 1991, when they started from issue 1 all over again. And the reason we're diving into this is because
I got to interview the man, Chris Claremont.
Dun dun dun.
Yeah, that was pretty epic. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah. In fact, I think by the end of the episode, we should just put the whole interview so people can see it.
Yeah, definitely.
So that will be something coming up a little later. But before all that, let's go back to Miss Patsy Walker. For those of you who are not familiar who Patsy Walker is, Jean Grey over here has the great insight of who she is.
So Patsy Walker is a character that came out in the 70s, actually, originally. She was a superhero character that had feline abilities. She's very, very strong and very fierce. And she's the Hellcat. She literally marries the son of the devil. So she's a tough chick. And basically, nobody really knows about her character unless they've read these old, dated comic books. But it's nice to see her in these newer titles, especially with Iron Man, because their dynamic is really interesting and she's a really cool character that I've always been a fan of. So I'm glad to see Marvel bringing back characters that I have loved in the past and giving them a refresh that I think is good for the characters.
Yeah, well, before we dive into that, I will say I had no idea who Patsy Walker was or Hellcat. Kind of like saw glimpses of her and I really didn't know too much about her. I just, I feel like there was a big time frame where they didn't really like present her.
Yeah.
And, but you did a cosplay of her.
I sure did, of course.
So we'll put a picture up. And that was, it's a very interesting one. I think you should bring it back, especially since, Patsy Walker is getting her own line of comics.
It's great because now people may actually know what the cosplay is instead of misidentifying it as reverse Batgirl or cat Batgirl or something crazy like that. I think I got like Kill Bill Catwoman or something. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, so all of those things, all in one character. Who would have known? Yeah. So let's talk about the comic book that we have here. We both read it. I will say we should definitely rate it.
Where's the other one?
We'll get to that, but let's go and talk about this one first because this one comes prior to the Hellcat and Iron Man comic that starts at issue number 1. But as you can see on the big picture over here, Iron Man is going to pop the question. So if you remember the synopsis of it, please tell us.
So Iron Man and Patsy Walker are together and they stop at a restaurant and he's recently just gotten out of rehab and she is having a conversation with him. He writes her a note and he wants her to read it. She reads it at the table and basically it's him asking her for her hand in marriage. And she does love him and he does love her. However, she says she's got to think about it. So basically, he tries not to think about the fact that she had to think about it, but then some things happen and Iron Man is out and he's fighting a creature and he's trying to get it off his mind.
Or would you say a giant gorilla? So the whole thing is that this basically, Tony Stark's invited this giant gorilla who has an IQ of, I believe, like 176. So I think that's even above Einstein. and he's supposed to
Smart
play a chess game of this holographic computer, and
things get a little heated.
Yeah,
he gets angry.
Things get heated, and
Yeah.
he goes ape. He goes ape.
So yeah, Iron Man is trying to dissolve the situation and not think about the fact that he's kind of worried about Patsy not accepting him as her new husband. So it's a pretty fun read, and then it leads into the new issue of Iron Man and Hellcat Annual, which is so cool to see them together in a comic book. I never thought that I would really see these two characters in this way, which I think is awesome because, you know, Iron Man, we all know he's very, he's a philanthropist, he's very like popular, and he's very egocentric, but it's nice to see him have this different dynamic with a character such as Patsy Walker.
Yeah, I feel like this is where, like, I'm not even too sure if they're like they're not officially broken up after this whole, you know, proposal didn't go through.
Yeah.
But and I didn't see them saying that they wanted to split, but they also are kind of weird with each other in this comic book.
This comic book was crazy too. Like the things that happen in it are really kind of trippy.
Yeah, I actually like this one better than the previous comic book, and this one goes into a dreamlike state where things might be real, might be not, and I guess in the end it is all real because she's taken somewhere else.
yeah, but still leaves it open. We still don't have an answer on whether or not they're together, they're not together, they're getting married, they're not getting married, but it definitely sets up the series in a crazy nice way. I definitely want to pick up the second issue when it comes out. Do you? Yeah,
no, I actually thought this one was really good. It reminded me of the writing of Gail Simone, where it's just these like different different kinds of storylines that are just like it's like neat storylines that you don't know where it's gonna go. So it's a breath of new air, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And I will say she did see her ex-husband there, who is trapped within a bunny rabbit stuffed toy.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, like I said, the stories go into different weird directions, but it's a good thing. Trust me. So I give this one, if we had to score this one a 5 out of 5 points, 5 being something to read, 4 being, you know, and so on. 1 being like, don't read it.
Yeah, I'm going with 5.
I'm going with this one with a 5 as well, just because of the originality of it. So the one prior, we didn't vote for that one. I'm going to give it a 3.
I'll give it a 4.
Fun. Yeah.
I'll give it a 4.
It was average. It was good.
Because I like monkey fights.
But yeah, no, it was fun, but this one is funner. So let's go and lead into our next reign of terror. And that is the 1991 relaunch of X-Men.
Okay, you all know the song. But
so really quick, you know, this is written by Chris Claremont, who had just done this huge run of X-Men, of Uncanny X-Men. I think he did like 176, maybe 200 issues straight through.
Tons of issues.
And then this is the relaunch for, I guess, the new generation, which was kids like me. I was about 10 years old when this came out. Yep. I remember this coming out. And they brought Jim Lee on, which is one of the best artists in the world. And after rereading this comic book, I was flabbergasted.
Me too, actually. I was
with the art, the writing.
It's just amazing.
This is like
what they did. It's just amazing. So you have all this philosophy in the story, and the characters each have their own moments. I love how every character has their own moment, and you just really get a feel for every single character, and you feel what they're feeling based on the writing. But the art is just breathtaking.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. It's so detailed and amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible.
After seeing so many other artists over the years and then going back to it, it's just like...
Now, I remember reading it as a kid, and it is a hard read. So I read it like a kid, when I was like 10. It was like, you know, Claremont likes to write a lot of this. He likes to write a lot of description. He likes to really put a story within it, as opposed to, you know, just looking at pictures. Yeah. Although, if you don't like reading, this is one that pictures will work because the pictures are phenomenal.
Yeah.
I was looking at the pictures and we were talking about it, and it's just like this issue is like, I don't know how many pages, like 40 pages. They wanted to go with a bang but every single page is so detailed. They're so beautiful.
The splash pages are crazy. Like you open it up and like one of the first pages, Magneto just looks so incredible.
Yeah.
And yeah, we have every variant of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's hold them up.
So let me just put them over here. Oh.
Yeah, just hold them up. There's so many, and they connect as well.
Yeah, so we'll show the connection and how it does it.
Hey, look, it's Jean Grey.
Yeah, and I guess you show it to your camera and I'll show it to my camera.
All right, so here's some of them.
Yeah. So I guess, since we're talking about the art, we did notice
What's
that
really cool, is that there's a different special two-page art print in all of them that's different. So depending on which one that you have or reading, it's a different image in the middle of the comic, and they're all really cool.
Yeah, and it was really funny because we're both reading the comic together, and we just happened to flip. Well, since we have all these copies, we both grabbed our favorite covers. And when she flipped hers, she was like in Hellfire's Gala.
Yeah.
And it was a
cool.
double spread, and it was incredible. But then I was looking at mine, I was like, that's not what I have.
Yeah.
I have a bathing suit
yours is
pool
like the
party.
Opposite.
Yeah, so
pool party, beach day, X-Men beach day.
Yeah, so that means we had to open all the other ones and check them all, and each one had a different in-betweener, and they're all incredible. It's like you just want to rip them out of the comic book and stick them on your wall. But
and you just don't get that anymore in a lot of comics, and it was just so cool to see it again. So I'm glad we did.
Yeah, I'm just kind of sad that the style of the 90s, it doesn't exist anymore. Or I guess it does in a way. But they've gone a whole different direction of art, and you can compare the this X-Men series to what we're talking about with the Hellcat and Iron Man. And don't get me wrong, the Hellcat and Iron Man art is incredible as well, but it just doesn't have that edgeness as the X-Men comics.
Jim Lee, I think he studied anatomy, and he was just he was so great. And I think I said this to you while we were reading it. The men look so masculine and the women look so feminine, and it's just, you're so enamored by the way that they look, and then you get the story from Chris Claremont and you just love it because you feel like you're right there with the characters, and it's just they look amazing. It's just really cool.
Yeah. Now let's talk about Chris Claremont's story within this. So I guess we can give a little insight to it, not 100% spoilers, but semi. I mean, come on, it came out in 1991.
Yeah.
And then we see Magneto. Magneto is living on another planet outside of, he's in space.
Yep.
And he's kind of built his own base there. And we have these, it just starts off with these astronauts that are going over there.
They're actually mutants.
Yeah. You find out that they're mutants, and they're actually seeking out Magneto. Mm-hmm. Magneto thinks that they're, just planet Earth coming to attack him, but it's not that. They're looking at him as their savior. Mm-hmm. And eventually he kind of does welcome them. Some people get killed along the way, but Magneto has this whole thing where he wants to make this whole haven for mutants. And every mutant, if you're a mutant, you basically get the green card. You are a citizen of this world. So he wants to invite all the mutants.
Yeah.
Problem is that Magneto has always had a bad name to himself. So the X-Men are already screw this guy, we gotta kick his ass. And there's one character in particular who goes for a kill shot. Who's that?
It's Wolverine.
Wolverine. Yeah, he just couldn't keep his cool, and Magneto is very offended by this because he talks about how he used to actually they used to work with each other whenever Magneto would help out the X-Men. So he was very dumbfounded, why would Wolverine do this to me?
Yeah, Magneto can't understand why the other mutants are not seeing his logic behind his logic. It does make sense, and it especially makes sense to him. But there's a lot more humanity, I feel in the other characters. And Magneto just gave up on it, I think, because he just is always let down by humanity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he just decided to just become more of who he is, who he rightfully is.
Yeah. Now, where would you sit in this if you were a mutant? Say you were a real Jean Grey. Would you try to side with everyone that hates you, which are the humans in this case, or would you just say, screw this, I'm going to another planet with Magneto where I can be myself?
Well, call me a softie, but I think I would still want to try to live within human society as a mutant and live peacefully, if that would be possible. Because if you think about it, a lot of mutants were born from humans, or vice versa, and the whole point is trying to coexist peacefully and trying to live in the same world and understand and accept each other. But humans don't accept other humans either, so it's always a doomed thing to try. But
yeah, and mutants don't accept other mutants as well.
Exactly. So no matter which way you look at it, there's always going to be issues, and there's always going to be problems and fights and wars. But I think that I would choose the side of humanity and trying to do something good.
All right. Well, I guess we should definitely get into your interview with Chris Claremont, which is really cool. I'm surprised that we met him. And
and he was, can I just say that he was very welcoming and very just a great guy to talk to in general, because he's very open to speaking about the characters and about his writing and about his reason for writing and what he's doing. So I thought that was really great. And I was dressed as Black Cat, so I was like, it's still a Marvel character, but he did tell me that he wanted to see my Dark Phoenix cosplay, so that meant a lot to me.
The best part was that Chris Claremont thought that she was Catwoman.
Yeah,
he was like, too bad you're not Marvel. And
I was like, but I am. I'm Black Cat, y'all.
Damn, that's funny.
It's okay. He had a long day. So yeah, it was awesome. We only went for one day, but that was definitely the highlight of that day for me.
And this is Chris Claremont getting interviewed by ElecTrish.
Hello, it's ElecTrish, and I am here with the Chris Claremont. We're gonna have a quick interview at his booth. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for asking. This is the first day of Florida Supercon, and how is your day going so far?
Quiet but nice, meeting some great people.
Your newest project is the new story of Gambit, so what about this character inspired you to make this book?
Well, it's sort of a cheating question, because what inspired me was the editor calling up and saying, would you like to write a Gambit series? I said, yes. But I think Remy is a very cool character.
I've always loved his character.
Well,
We don't see enough of him.
I actually agree, although I saw a piece of line art for the current Hellfire gala, where he's wearing a suit of clothes, or barely a suit of clothes, that is racy by anyone's standards, I have to say.
Yeah, they definitely turned him into the whole sex symbol for that. They went that route with his character. I hear your book is more of a comedy. Is that so?
Well, we're trying. I mean, I always like challenging myself, and since, as I told John Belushi once upon a time, you have no idea how hard it is to write comedy. And he looked at me like I was a jackass, which I was at that moment. Since he wrote like a third of SNL back in those days, it's always fun to keep trying something new and something that's really difficult. And for me, that's comedy.
So you like to challenge yourself when you're writing?
I think every writer should. That's
Definitely.
how you grow.
Definitely. As far as cinema goes these days, I know this is like, we won't get into it because we all know that Foxmen versus the X-Men franchise is kind of like, it's misrepresented.
Well, the problem with Fox is that it had actually no interest in the X-Men as a canon, or the people in them as characters. It was always, we ought to sort of kind of have to do it because it earns money, God forbid.
Yeah.
The intriguing thing will be to see how the X-canon, and indeed the Fantastic Four, integrate into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. because on one level, the Eternals sort of takes the whole genesis of who and what the X-Men are away from the X-Men. If they are a new set of beings that were created as a result of the Inhumans coming to Earth, what is that? Are they really mutants anymore? And if they're not mutants, what are they?
Right.
I think if it were me, if I could have Kevin Feige's ear for 30 seconds, what I would say is that the X-Men as a concept would work much, much better as a TV series.
I think so too.
If you could do it as Game of Thrones and actually start with, as with Harry Potter, start with young characters.
It worked in the animated series, I think, in the 90s.
I think
They had to simplify it, of course.
Oh, no. I have nothing. For me, it has nothing to do with the actual series itself. It's just the worst imaginable costume for Jean ever.
Yeah.
I mean, putting a redhead in yellow and whatever, blue and yellow, and
Yep.
whatever.
Right, blue
whatever
and yellow.
That awful coloring is on her body.
Yeah.
Maybe that was the yellow. It's just, there's nothing complimentary, at least I could have ever been able to find about it. And trust me, I have a giant statue of her on my shelf.
It's a little distracting.
Well, costumes are there for a reason, to catch the reader's eye and hold them. But more importantly, they exemplify something about who that person is. Dave Cockrum is one of the most gifted character and outfit designers in the business. And if you want proof, you just look at both Phoenix and Dark Phoenix.
I agree. I love those.
And
I
Binary.
Love those. Yes.
They're all wonderful.
And striking.
Well, and
they I think that they represent the character more. So.
Well, they not only do that, they represent the person who's wearing it to the most positive effect. Whereas a lot of these other costumes are just, I mean, sadly, I look at the animated Jean Grey outfit, and my first reaction was, are those pads or pockets? And what sensible woman, especially if she's a center stage performer, wants to wear an outfit that just expands her body like by inches on either side?
Right, it's not flattering.
Well, if you're thinking in terms of a movie and you've got to actually do stunts, okay, that's one thing. But that's also why the movie costumes are substantially more, if you pardon the pun, substantial, because, real people are falling on real ground.
Yeah, that's true.
And what stunt woman is going to do this, especially at her wages?
That's exactly true.
You know, also make notice that nobody wears heels. Can't imagine that one.
It's just not sensible. It's just not sensible.
Sensible? Actually, I'm not that interested in the look. I'm interested in the story, in the characters.
Of course.
I want to see how that all fits together, and that way either the costumes complement it or they don't. But it's the story and the characters that matter. That should always matter.
That is so true. And thank you so much for your time. Thank you for letting me speak with you. Enjoy the rest of your day at Supercon. Thank you. This is ElecTrish for the Not So Serious Show and Chris Claremont himself.
I look forward to seeing you as Phoenix.
Thank you. You will.
Okay.